on the labor market, employment, and training. When the market price of labor is below its natural price, the condition of the laborer is most wretched. The poverty deprives them of those comforts which custom renders necessaries. It is only after privations have reduced their number, or the demand for labor has increased, that the market price of labor will rise to its natural price, and that the laborer will have the moderate comforts which the natural rate of wages will afford. This is taken from On Wages, the Principles of Political Economy and Taxation by David Ricardo. Just read this again. When the market price of labor is below its natural price, the conditions of the laborer is most wretched. The poverty deprives them of those comforts which custom renders necessaries. It is only after privations have reduced their number, or the demand for labor has increased, that the market price of labor will rise to its natural price, and that the laborer will have the moderate comforts which the natural rate of wages will afford. On Wages, the Principles of Political Economy and Taxation by David Ricardo. David Ricardo, well-known political economist of the late 18th century, is saying that the price of labor has to reach its natural price for it to afford and enjoy the moderate comforts that each salaried and wage worker strives for. The fact that the majority of workers cannot afford decent housing and have to rely on state-subsidized housing suggests that market labor prices currently or traditionally have not reached natural price levels. Natural price levels are reached only when there's equilibrium between the factors of production, land, labor, and capital. Natural price levels of labor bring forth affordability of those absolute necessaries, such as food, shelter, clothing, education, transportation, health services, utility payments, etc., by all persons in society. Currently, only a small fraction of citizens in most countries can afford these without stated assistance. The evidence of this equilibrium is further manifested by the annual rise in price levels of goods and services, where wage negotiations always have to play catch-up. Wages and salaries never really catch up. And there is the perennial phenomenon of wage disputes, strikes, lockouts, etc., which never seem to go away. There can never be industrial peace as long as labor is out of sync with land and capital values. The question then is, how can this be resolved? How can natural labor prices be brought about? David Ricardo indicates that natural prices are reached when the demand for labor increases. But we have seen that with labor price increases in boom years, the disequilibrium still continues as land and capital prices still outstrip the capability of labor to pay. In boom conditions, there is still want for housing and other necessities, and these are still beyond the reach of the average worker. What is desirable is a true demand for labor, which will bring about equilibrium. The opening up of lands of value as a result of a tax-based A tax based on the value of the site value tax, represents the single most effective action that can equalize or give equity to the factors of production. This will, among other things, create a true rise in the demand for labor, raising its price to its natural level. It will at once create more viable employment opportunities for both the skilled and the unskilled, and the country's gross domestic product will increase exponentially. Most importantly, it will significantly improve the standard of living for all citizens who wish to be employed or who wish to be self-employed. As to how this tax on land values is to be arrived at or administered will be the subject of later chapters. In such a scenario, it is easy to foresee the revival of small and family businesses, which of course is normally where most employment is had in all countries. This will also facilitate mentorship and apprenticeship programs, which was the original way many centuries ago in which professional and technical skills and capabilities were passed on. This can now take place in an environment of learning where transference of skills require time. Usually an apprenticeship was a minimum of 10 years, and where the apprentice would be gainfully employed, contributing significantly, although still learning the product of the enterprise. This is how generational sustainability of family businesses or businesses in general could be re-established. Nowadays, this is almost non-existent. Such generational sustainability is vital for a country's economic reputation as producers of specialty goods and services. An example of such a reputation would be the Swiss for their making of high-grade chocolate confectionery as well as watches. With this certainty of employment opportunity, the state can now plan more precisely at providing training and educational places in specific areas of economic activity. Its tertiary education and vocational training programs will not be embarrassed, which is now the case, where we are turning out many graduates in all areas of specialization without the prospect of gainful employment for them. Specific research can now be undertaken to determine and project professional, skilled and semi-skilled human resource demands in this site value tax (SVT) economy. The creation and/or expansion of business will be more predictive, and hence planning for this increase will be very possible. Even if there is a business slump, this can still be ameliorated by adjusting the SVT demands downwards so that the factors of production remain in balance and there be optimal trade. Remember, goods and services will always be produced once the factors of production come together, so that the idea is to make whatever adjustments that are necessary to ensure that this happens. We can imagine the impact that such a policy will have on the national work ethic, which is not very good currently. As wages and salaries rise to their natural levels, there will be greater purchasing power. More goods and services will be produced and consumed. The state's revenue will be improved immeasurably, and there will be general happiness in the realm. Gainful work will now be available for all who seek it. Self-employment and small businesses will increase, and poverty will only reside with those who are unwilling to work. The state would be in far better shape to adequately take care of those who are unable to take care of themselves, including the retired. Those persons who are socially indigent will be far less than is the case today. Natural price levels are reached only when there is equilibrium between the factors of production, land, labor, and capital. Natural price levels of labor bring forth affordability of those absolute necessaries, such as food, shelter, clothing, education, transportation, health services, utility payments, etc., by all persons in society. Currently, only a small fraction of citizens in most countries can afford these without state assistance. Most favorably, the continuous standoffs which we witness today between labor and capital, or unions and employers, private or public, will become a thing of the past, because labor prices will now rise to natural levels which will facilitate the purchase of all moderate comforts. Labor unions can now shift their focus away from wage price mediation exercises to other needs workers may have, such as education, training, and social welfare programs, to name just a few. The point is, the marketplace will now allow a truly level playing field between the factors of production. So this is taken from the On Development, Innovative Solutions to the Development Dilemma Facing Trinidad and Tobago by Nigel Gittins. You can get more on this subject by going to the link in the bio, description, or profile for our flagship course, Nature of Society. Thank you.